Louisiana All American Sports Show. 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 Louisiana. If the sports you wanna talk about, then listen to the hottest show that's coming out the South. It's Eric Hatfield and Coach Perry Daniels, man. They're gonna sit you down and tell you all about the game and make it plain. 96.9 FM, that's the station to hear the best sports talk show in the nation. Without hesitation, you should get with this and get your popcorn ready, boy. You better not miss Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana. It's Joker Bay. Check us out.
So fresh, so clean. Good morning, Baton Rouge. It's another Saturday, which means it is 11 o'clock, and it is time for 96.9 FM's best sports talk show, the Louisiana All American Sports Show. Good morning. Today is Saturday, April 4th, 2015. This is Eric Hatfield.
And this is Gerard Piper, better known as Joker P.
And I'm Coach Perry Daniels.
And put on your seatbelts, put on your helmet, and get the roll cage ready as we're ready to strap up and ride. Another Louisiana All-American Sports Show. Well, I guess before we start diving into the world of sports, definitely want to hear from everybody and hear what's going on in their neck of the woods. I got to give a shout-out really quick to some public servants to the community. Yesterday, the unit across from my girlfriend's apartment caught on fire yesterday. It was engulfed in a lot of smoke, a lot of flames. A guy knocks on the door, says the smoke coming out of the attic next door, fire truck's on its way. Not even 2 minutes later, I hear the fire truck coming. The St. George Fire Department got in there, kicked in the door. The smoke started bursting out everywhere. They poured 250 gallons of water, and within 15 minutes, fire was contained. Everybody could go back to their apartment. I just got to give big props to those guys for being quick and efficient. These guys run in when most people are running out, so big props to the firemen.
Great job, man. I always looked at a fireman as, they talk about real hero. That's a real hero, someone that would go in and really literally risk their lives.
But these
Fire
guys,
to play with.
No, it's not. Fire is hot. And these guys, they have, I've never really taken a good look at a fireman's outfit, but these guys have these big, thick suits covering them from head to toe, these flame-resistant suits, and yet a couple of guys who were, I guess, outside in case something really went bad, and the guys that went in, well, a couple of the guys that went in came out, and I'm seeing all this foam, and the suits like kind of split, so that it must have been hot. Right. I guess whatever it was, it must have been really hot. So that's some bravery. That's something I don't know if I'd have the stones to do. And anyway, big ups to those guys. Piper, what's up?
Oh, man, it's been a great weekend. The Final Four is finally here.
Oh, yeah, man. We've been waiting.
We've been waiting. And it's so great, man. It's just a great time right now in the world of sports. Also, on the other hand, I heard a story here that really kind of upset me, and it was about some school teachers here in Atlanta. I don't know if you heard about this story, but they were caught under investigation for changing the child's grades and the standardized test in order to keep up with the No Child Left Behind thing, in order to get the grants for the school. And so, man, they indicted about 30 Atlanta teachers. I think 13 of them ended up pleading guilty, but they're trying to get these teachers 20 years.
Oh, come on.
Something like that.
Now
and that's what I'm like, come on now. You know what I mean? These are educators, and, they have molested a child.
Right.
People to get less time for beating kids and sleeping with kids. And, and here they actually...
Stealing an old lady's purse?
That's right.
You get like 90 days for that? Shoot.
That's right. And they actually sentenced these, but they didn't sentence them. They found them guilty. And the judge remanded them right then. So all 15 of these teachers had to take out their jury and give it. No one expected them to lock these teachers up.
Are they getting kickbacks or something? I mean, I don't understand what the point is of...
Well, it goes a little bit more deep. Probably something we'll have to get into even more. But I just thought, did you hear anything about that, Coach?
Absolutely, I'm on top of that story. And not so much kickbacks, Eric. The incentive is that the state money is allocated based on how the kids perform on those 10 standardized test scores. And according to the charter of this school, there was also some extra incentive regarding pay pay to the administrators based on the performance of the students on these standardized tests.
That is.
So it created an environment that fostered this.
Money was
that encouraged it.
Money was flowing, and behind every crime, you can often follow the money. My father spent most of his career working in educational accountability. So while I'm not an expert in this field, and I actually didn't know about the story, I spent most of my childhood growing up on the sidelines of things like test scores and what they mean and the impact. And people, I will tell you, this is not even a well-kept secret. Teachers in schools cheat all the time. As far, I mean, it's true, at least in poor performing areas. So I'm very curious as the detail, what makes this so, and it's not even a secret. So I'm wondering what makes this so egregious. If you're saying there was money flowing and changing hands and they were manipulating the government's cash, and this is a charter school unlike a public school where people are just trying to cover their own backsides, I can begin to wrap my mind around why the government might have come down harder. It still sounds awfully harsh, but I got to learn more about this. But the cheating in and of itself, that is not new. It's sad to say that, but it's not new. So that's really disappointing. I hate to hear that. I really do.
These teachers are actually facing 20 years. This crime is 20 years. Not saying that they was wrong in what they did. I just think that the punishment doesn't fit the crime at all.
But a lot of federal cases, like you hear about these people, like these mayors and senators and stuff that get busted for corruption. They could. Edwin Edwards was facing up to a total of like 300 and some odd years in jail, and he said after he was found guilty, he said, "Well, if they give me that, I don't intend to serve it." He ended up getting 10 years. So sometimes they pile it up so high so the judge and prosecutors can exercise their discretion. I hope it's nothing like that. I really do.
But the only thing that disturbed me was that they actually are going to hold these people until sentencing, which is going to be about another month. So they're not even going to be able to get out. So that was kind of, usually people like that, you would let them just come back for sentencing, go back home with your family. But
often with that,
absolutely, there are no flight risks.
Exactly.
Right.
They are there. So what was your point for doing that? Hey, fellas, before we jump into our high school segment, let me say that today, April the 4th, commemorates 47 years since a king was gunned down on the balcony in Memphis, and we spoke about heroes earlier. One that has the courage to speak against the powerful United States government and shine a light on injustices. In my humble opinion, is the epitome of what a hero is.
Oh yeah, that man was a hero amongst heroes. I'll tell you.
Oh my goodness! When you think about it now, some people is scared to go in front of their job, in front of their boss, and say something. You know what I mean?
Right.
For somebody,
that's right.
For somebody to actually do it in that time and stand out front and walk, man, that is just, oh my goodness! What courage, man!
And you consider.
Wow, man.
You consider that, you have people, one lesson I took from the 60s is people that wanted to change things paid the ultimate price. I mean, you had Jack Kennedy in 63, you had Martin Luther King today in 1968, and then just in June at the Ambassador Hotel, you had Bobby Kennedy, all rubbed out. I mean, you pay a steep price. And with Dr. King, if you look at what some of the things he did over the years, going back to the 50s, it's almost amazing he made it as long as he did without incident. But that is true heroism, and his legacy obviously has changed the world to this day, and it continues to live on. But that is the ultimate of heroism, and I didn't realize, I'm big into dates. I didn't realize that was today, so I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Wow, 47 years.
Let's jump into
So from the sublime to the fun to the lighthearted to the youth, high school baseball.
What you got?
So look, high school baseball's in season. The season's in full swing. And I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on where our young participants in America's pastime are. Baton Rouge has got a lot of power in high school baseball. We're just going to very briefly go through some of the top teams in each classification. In top 5, there's a very heavy Baton Rouge influence. Number 1 ranked Sulphur is 22-0 right now. They're the only unbeaten team in Class 5A. But followed immediately, number 2 is Catholic High. Zachary ranked number 3. Number 4 is Lafayette. Number 5 is Barb. And also of note, Denham Springs is ranked number 9 in the Class 5A power rankings. And of course, we will have Catholic High on Louisiana All American Sports.com next Saturday, April the 11th, as they come down to the South to visit and face the McKinley Panthers. We will have that for you. In Class 4A, number 1 is Franklinton, number 2, Tioga, number 3, Turlings Catholic, number 4, Crowley, number 5, Grant. Noteworthy of the Baton Rouge area, number 7 is St. Michael the Archangel with an 11-7 record, and number 10 is Plaquemine at 13-4. In Class 3A, we have number 1, John Curtis. No surprise there with that sports factory they have. Number 2, Evangel Christian. Number 3 is Bruley, and we will be bringing you Bruley later this month as they will face the Port Allen Pelicans on Louisiana All American Sports.com. Number 4 is Iowa, and number 5 is South Beauregard. Of note, U-High, who we had earlier, we had actually our first baseball game of the season on Louisiana All American Sports.com. U-High is ranked number 6, and also we will have Tuesday on Louisiana All American Sports.com at 6:30 p.m. the Parkview Baptist Eagles, who are ranked number 11 in the state in Class 3A. They will visit the Port Allen Pelicans. We will have that live on Louisiana All American Sports.com. Parkview Baptist ranked number 11. In Class 2A, Doyle, number 1. That's our friends in Livingston Parish. Number 2, Fisher. Number 3, Oak Grove. Number 4, Runnels. And number 5, Archbishop Hannon. In Class 1A, a couple of other familiar names you might recognize. Number 1 is Ouachita Christian. Number 2 is Sacred Heart. Number 3 is Hanson Memorial. We will also have a very regular school on Louisiana All American Sports.com. The Southern Lab Kittens, ranked number 4 in Class 1A. They are undefeated. They are 9-0. And just looking at this power rank list, they're the only unbeaten team in Class 1A among the ranked teams. Number 5 is St. In baseball. Yeah, they got some gifted athletes there at Southern Lab, man. I got to see them last year, and you could see that school was building up. They did make the playoffs. Now they're ranked 4 in the classification, so they got something going on there. Also, number 10, our friends at Christian Life. They are ranked number 10 in Class 1A, and we'll also have Christian Life later this year on Louisiana All American Sports.com. Class B, number 1, Florian. Number 2, Monterey. Number 3, Maurepas. Number 4, Grace Christian. Number 5, Stanley. Of note, number 11 is Holden out of Livingston Parish. And finally, in Class C, number 1, Elizabeth. Number 2, Downsville. Number 3, Summerfield. Number 4 is a school we haven't brought to you in a while. We're going to have to change that on Louisiana All American Sports.com. Family Christian Academy. They are ranked number 4 in Class C. And number 5 is Claiborne Christian. So that rounds out our young people on the high school baseball circuit. A lot of Baton Rouge presence there, and a lot of schools you're going to see on Louisiana All American Sports.com.
Can't wait.
Can't wait, as Bart Scott would say. And
well, hey man, on the bluff, it seems like they've finally gotten things together. Coach Kadar and his coaching staff, they have won 6 straight games, taking a sweep yesterday at Prairie View A&M in a doubleheader. They beat them in both games, and now the Jaguars are making their run back to their traditional spot of leading the SWAC in baseball. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the season. You got to give big props to Tyler Kirksey,
yep.
Kirksey, who called a player-manager meeting with Coach Kadar, expressed some concerns that the Jaguar baseball team was having, and Coach Kadar heard him and made some adjustments. The biggest suggestion that he seems to have made is Tyler told Coach that he should be batting leadoff. They made that adjustment, and they haven't lost a game since.
That takes leadership and courage on all. First of all, for that player to number 1, say, Coach, something's wrong, and say, number 2, you got to play me. And you better be right when you do that. And also for Coach Kadar and probably Coach Pueblo, I'm sure was involved too in that decision, to listen and make the change. And you can see it, because I'll tell you, Perry, I was concerned about where this team was going. I mean, they had an abysmal year last year, and they were getting off to a brutal start this year. You know, they got swept hard by Texas Southern early this year. But then, T, if you're listening, and Professor Johnson will be calling in today, they beat Grambling like a drum, swept them in 3 games. Then beat McNeese, who has a very good program among the mid-majors. And, of course, they have Prairie View. They wrapped that series up today immediately after the show at 1 o'clock. They smashed Prairie View yesterday, 19-7. I like what I see going on with that Southern Jags program. It's starting to look like they're back to their old selves, as Perry pointed out, with a 6-game winning streak. That brings their record now to 7-6 in the SWAC. So this is the first time in a couple of years that I can remember Southern having a winning record in SWAC play. They're 9-15 overall, but they played a very heavy schedule with the likes of LSU and South Dakota State and established, more established baseball programs. But that's to prep them up for the SWAC schedule. So they have Prairie View today. They'll head into the Easter break. They do not play tomorrow. But Southern is turning it around, and props to Mr. Kirksey for speaking his mind. And apparently it helped make a big difference there on the Bluff.
Absolutely. What's going on the other side of town?
So down south, no surprise here, the LSU Tigers are playing good baseball and winning. They're ranked number 3 in the country, down from number 1 earlier this year when both they and the softball program were ranked number 1 in the country. But look, they're kicking butt and taking names. They do it every year. They're into SEC play. Excuse me. They're 7-4 in SEC competition. They have today. They are facing off against Alabama at 2 o'clock. In Hoover, Alabama. That's a beautiful ballpark, by the way. That game will be available, or you can hear it rather, on 98.1. That's Eagle 98.1. You can also see it on the SEC Network. I believe that's SEC Network 2. You can catch that game at 2 o'clock. But LSU's rolling. They've won 3 in a row, including 4 of their last 5. Coming off of, they lost the series against Kentucky, but they beat a very good ULL team in New Orleans early this week, and they've taken 2 of their first 3 against Alabama. So a lot of good news for baseball in the Baton Rouge area. And as thrilled as I am about LSU, as I always say, you cut me, I'll bleed purple and gold. I'm probably as happy, if not happier, to see Southern looking the way I expect them to. I mean, that is probably the best kept secret in town as far as sports, that you don't really hear a lot of barbershop conversation about. Southern's baseball team has always been very good. They've given LSU a run for the money several times in the past. I'll never forget when I was in college watching this kid for Southern pitch 10 innings at Alec Box Stadium, and the crowd gave him a standing ovation when he came out. I mean, Southern has a good baseball tradition, good coaching, and I'm really happy to see the team playing up to the expectations we've had for them over time.
Most definitely, man. Coach Kadar does a wonderful job up there, and doesn't get a lot of recognition that he should get. But hey,
except in the Piggly Wiggly commercials, if you haven't noticed. Shoot.
They won't put the man.
They'll show him on the canned vegetables aisle. Buying his Piggly Wiggly.
A McDonald's commercial. Don't put him on the pig.
Shoot, not Piggly Wiggly. I'm sorry. It's a High Neighbor. Anyway.
High Neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Then.
So what do we have, Piper, for people's minds this week?
Well, this week we got a special song. This week, I kind of took it to the Midwest a little bit, and I done it in spite for the Final Four that we have today. So today's, we got the Final Four. We got Kentucky. It's going to be battling Wisconsin. And so for the Kentucky, since they're trying to make history today, and since everybody's either going to love them or you're going to hate them, then I chose a group from Kentucky today. And a lot of people may have forgot about them, but I haven't. They call the Nappy Roots. Oh, folks.
I like this song.
I love you, Kentucky. Ow, ow, ow.
We act this way, everyone's gonna be okay, okay.
All my life been broke. You remember that?
Oh man, I it's one of those songs. You don't hear something in a while and you forgot how much you liked hearing it. That was one of those. That was a little trip right down memory lane there, and then man. Perfect with Kentucky on the cusp of history here in the Final Four.
Exactly, and some groups, some songs don't give a real meaning until years later after you hear it. They mean a lot more to you. And this was a group that, at the time when transition started changing, it kind of was different way with the message legends in music, and I think that's why these guys are not around anymore. But
Yeah.
great group, man. Great group. Happy Roots.
I was thinking, Joker, it's so funny you said that just a second ago, because I was thinking while I was listening, this is one of the last songs, I will tell you, and I know Perry frowns upon this, but I mean, right when the Cash Money and the Bling Bling and Master P came out, I was all into that stuff, like White on Rice, like pick an analogy. I mean, that was my stuff. I still to this day, when I go to the gym, I'm playing some late 90s, early 2000s Cash Money. And this was one of the last songs before that era of rap music really took over and dominated and blew up onto the national scene. And I was thinking that really was the end of that era. The Goody Mobs and the Nappy Roots and the Outkast and the Lauryn Hill, the traditional Lauryn Hill stuff, you know.
Right.
And great as always, Joker. Another shot from way downtown. Swish.
Yeah, and man, I'm excited right now. We got a special guest in the studio with us, and man, you're going to have to, get to listen and catch them up on what's been going on with you. We got Professor T. Johnson in the studio today.
Indeed, family, peace.
Yeah.
And it is as I spoke with Eric earlier, he said, Professor, how you doing? I say, I'm bruised, battered, and hard, but scarred, going out with a bang, ready to bang out. And he said, man, well, okay, all right. I say, man, we here. I was going to call in and had some cancellations. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make an impromptu and pop up and surprise Eric and my brother Joker. Yeah, brother also. But man, it's a pleasure to be back in here with you guys, man. Like I said, I've been going through a few little things going on out there, in real life. But we're here, got a little nice jewel to drop. And I'm real excited about the Final Four and all these other things we have going on. Shout out to Coach Perry Daniels. Peace, brother. And Eric has already given me his pick. I kind of think Joker's probably on that same bandwagon as well. But I'm going a whole nother route. I'm not going to just get on that bandwagon.
Well, save it. Save it. I want.
Yeah, I wasn't going to drop it, but I was just saying I'm not going to get on that bandwagon because I know you bandwagoned out. I'm aware of this.
We're going to get to that. I've been missing him. I've been missing T, man. That's my friend and adversary right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we in here.
Yes, sir.
We put the mics together and we get it in. So, man, I'm so glad to have my boy back.
Man, I'm glad to be back, brother. Glad to be back.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, what a special day it is. Let me ask this question, Brother Johnson. Would you like to drop your jewel now or after our Final Four segment?
Go ahead and repeat that, Perry. Didn't hear you.
Would he like to drop his jewel now or after the Final Four segment?
Whenever, brother. It's all up to you. You make the call.
Go. Let's
Okay.
Let's go with it.
Well, let's jump into the Final Four. Let's go ahead with this. We here. Let's go ahead and set that table, Aaron.
All righty. Well, I had mentioned just a moment ago that Joker, but picking that perfect selection for the Roos, shot a three from way downtown, and having threes from way downtown, that will bring us to talking about college basketball and the Final Four, as we had some fantastic action last week, and we could have a potential for some epic games this week as the Final Four will pick up this afternoon on CBS. So actually, the first two games today, folks, are on TBS. That's cable channel 31. I don't want y'all to miss it and say it's all Eric Hatfield's fault. But the Kentucky Wildcats and the Wisconsin Badgers, that's the big one today. I'll tell you all off top, I'm not picking against Kentucky for the rest of this year, but Wisconsin's going to give them a fight, and we have two award winners in that game today. Coach John Calipari, rightfully so, was named the Associated Press Coach of the Year. I think long overdue. And Frank Kaminsky, not much of a surprise. He was named the Associated Press Player of the Year. This is a young fellow who's been building up, and he's one of college basketball's, I think, better players the last 2 or 3 years. Not really a surprise there. So we got the Young Bucks at Kentucky, young guys plus William Cauley-Stein against Bo Ryan and his disciplined season, kind of boring, but very effective Wisconsin Badgers. Like I said, I'm going Kentucky.
You going Kentucky? I'm going to defer to Professor T. Johnson here.
I'm going to stick with Kentucky in this game as well.
Okay.
But however, to elaborate on what Eric said about this Kaminsky guy, I was a little surprised with that. I mean, he seems a little Keith Van Hornish to me.
Hey, when he was at Utah, Keith Van Horn was a bad mofo, man.
Yeah, he was. I thought the other guy was like Keith Van Horn with the little dip, the little hair.
Oh, you're talking about just Sam Decker. Sam Decker is one of those guys. It depends on which way the wind's blowing. He can be really good, or he can be himself. But yeah,
yeah, Kentucky in this game. It's gonna be a defensive Kentucky. I'm gonna take Kentucky. I'm gonna save it.
Kentucky. Well, you know, I've been going with Kentucky all this time. We had a challenge here where I had Kentucky or the field, and you could take the field. And I took Kentucky. I think two of us took Kentucky.
Right.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Perry and the fixer took the field.
Oh, okay.
So you know, what are you taking? The field, I guess.
I'm gonna take the field.
interesting.
Okay, I'm gonna take Kentucky. I think actually last game that Kentucky had against Notre Dame, actually it's the game that's going to push them over to get the championship, because I think that offense that Notre Dame had, I don't think no other offense is that efficient. They had the number one offense.
And Kentucky,
in the nation, Notre Dame did.
And Kentucky did not. They played their defense. I've never seen a team play defense the way Kentucky's played defense this year, and they played poorly in that first half. I mean, they didn't look like themselves, and that might have might light a fire under them, give them that wake-up call. And when we saw the West Virginia game, a very good West Virginia team, we see what happens when that Kentucky team wakes up. It's carnage, everywhere.
And this is the revenge game. So this was a game last year that they played Wisconsin. That's when Harrison hit the big shot against Kaminsky. So they have the revenge factor on their side coming back in the Final Four again. You know, so it's just... but I'm going to have to go with Big Blue Machine.
I like that. Is this Kentucky team going down, Mr. Hatfield, as the greatest college team ever?
If they win these next two games, I don't see how you can. I mean, think about the greatest. When I think of greatest of all time, I think about the early 90s Duke, UNLV right before them, Georgetown, and you got to go back to really Indiana from the mid-'70s when the team went stem to stern undefeated. And I think if this team, this single season, not necessarily the collection of talent, because I thought Duke and UNLV and Georgetown had more talent. They stayed all 4 years than these guys. But as far as a single season, I can't even make a reasonable argument against. If they win the next two games, that's still yet to be seen.
Right. I'll piggyback off of you. I don't think... Go ahead, Perry.
I was just going to say, I would agree with Eric. I think he omitted the Phi Slamma Jamma group out of Houston.
Ooh. They were awesome, too. Awesome team, but they never won the whole thing, though.
They went to 3 Final Fours, I want to say.
Right.
I'm following you.
Yeah, they went to 3.
The Hall of Famers, you're right. I mean, Akeem at the time, and Clyde Drexler, and they were awesome.
I'm a Phi Slamma Jamma fan. I was actually going with
Cadillac Anderson.
Misha. Pierre, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was actually a Phi Slamma Jamma fan in that era. I'm still a little torn about that. Wittenberg.
But Wittenberg, Val Vinyl. But I think that Louis, of course, Kentucky is probably the best defensive team I've seen. I don't think they're the best Kentucky team for as offensively wise when they had John Wall or DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis.
They underachieved too. I mean, not Anthony Davis then, but the John Wall team.
Right, the John Wall team, and but defensively wise, this team with all of that length and that height that they have, you had that, So all around, you have to pick them because they went undefeated. But just as an offensive juggernaut, no.
Coach, and you mentioned something, and we didn't get Perry's pick yet in this game, but Coach mentioned something, and actually T mentioned something, and blend them together and hand it off to Perry about Frank Kaminsky, how he was a little Keith Van Hornish, he was a little surprised. I think some of this is a bit of a lifetime achievement award. You have a season where I think the prevailing thought might have been there was no one individual that rose so far above, and you have Kaminsky, who's been among the best 3 years in a row. But Perry mentioned a guy from Northern Iowa, and I think if they just made it past the second round, he might have been at least a finalist, and that was Seth Tuttle, who I didn't even notice till Perry gave us a homework assignment for the Northern Iowa-Wichita State game, and Van Fleet was another guy, too. And I'm watching Tuttle play, and I just think if they made it a few more rounds, maybe Kaminsky might have had a sweat. But you have a guy like that who's been solid 3 years. I think it's more of a lifetime achievement award than, say, compared to when Patrick Ewing won it in 1985. And you're looking at one of the greatest players of all time. Coach, who do you have in today's contest between the Badgers and the Wildcats?
Well,
it's a silly question.
Great question. Before I go there, as I listen to you all talk, another team that we omitted as one of the greats throughout history, the Louisville Boxers of Dunk, back before, during the late 70s. was an awesome run that Coach Crum
Oh,
made
yeah.
with that group as well. But today, I'm going to surprise folks, and I think the maturity as well as the revenge factor for the University of Wisconsin is going to push them over the edge and do what no other team has been able to accomplish this season and upset the University of Kentucky.
Wow.
In the other game, the Michigan State game, Tom Izzo is probably my favorite coach as far as doing the most with the least out there. And you know how I feel about the coach on the other side.
And here comes the haterade.
No. Although his record speaks for itself. So this is clearly the most athletic Duke team that I can remember, and arguably the best team that has been put together. But undoubtedly the most athletic.
Mm-hmm.
With the things that are going on that campus, I'm not exactly sure whether those young guys can set those things aside. Here's what I saw last week. When I watched these 4 teams qualify to get to today, I saw 3 teams celebrating now. I did not see that with the Devils. And I wondered at that time why. Is it that they were just that focused to where winning this didn't mean much to them? Getting to the Final Four didn't mean much to them? If that is the case, if Coach K has them that prepared, then they're going to win the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, after these stories broke about the young African-American girl walking across campus, being chanted to with the same song that the fraternity was singing at the University of Oklahoma, being with the story breaking about the noose being held, hung on a tree from the Multicultural Center on campus, that leads me to believe that the reason there was no celebration after that victory is because these guys are starting to get a good grasp of the environment that they have taken their talents to.
You know, Coach,
I'm not sure they're going to be able to put that aside today on the court.
You know, Coach, I saw some stuff about Twitter. I knew that something was going on at Duke. I did not know the details, but I think one of our other friends of the show has some commentary about that in light of what was going on.
I'll say this. Those are some sick people.
You know, Coach Mora, I think, said it best. Duke is one of those places you expect to be better than that, quite frankly. You know, it's one of those
Not me, Eric, not me. After looking at the lacrosse team situation, after looking at watching them over the years, I don't expect better. This is what I expect of them.
Well, they met your low expectations this time, Coach. That's just, well, sick. That's wow. So I guess as Joker would do and bring it back. So who you got? I mean, yeah, who you got?
I've got Michigan State and Wisconsin, and Tom Izzo's going to win it all.
Woo!
With a very under-talented team, a team that lost to. This is how close we are in college basketball now. Texas Southern, the SWAC champ, went up to East Lansing and beat this Spartan team on their home court.
That's right.
Court. So, with 1 or 2 more high-quality basketball players, SWAC fans out there, you too could one day be playing Final Four Eve, the night of Final Four. So, hey, Eric, I've got the fixture on the line whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, that's awesome. Actually, you know, I guess we didn't go around. I don't think we went around the second game. I think you brought us into that second game. I'm as a basketball fan, I would love to see a Duke Kentucky match. With the history, I mean, anyone who's old enough, over the age of 30, 35 knows what that means going back to the early 90s. It would be an historic rematch as far as these two programs. Referring, of course, to the 92 East Regional Finals where Christian Laettner hit the miracle shot. But, hearing the stories about what went on that campus, it's hard for me to, even as a fan, root for Duke to win to watch them lose, which is what I would like to see. So a piece of me kind of hopes Tom Izzo has his way. I just think that team is too small, Perry. I really do. I think the glass slipper breaks here and the pumpkin comes out and it's midnight. So I'm going to reluctantly pick the Duke Blue Devils in today's game. Joker?
Man, this is a tough game. Two Hall of Fame coaches, two very good teams. Michigan State reminds me of the team of Connecticut last year, number 7 seed. They're taking pretty much the same path as Connecticut did. They're on a hot streak, and this is the time when it's about who's playing the best right now. It's not about the season. And Tom Izzo has a way of bringing his team gradually as the season progresses until they become their best version of themselves. But I think I'm gonna have to give the edge to Krzyzewski and Duke Blue Devils this game, and the reason why I think. Justice Winslow, when they moved him from, to 3 to the 4.
That was a good move.
In the starting lineup, it kind of they're a different Duke team now. And so I see that they have grown too throughout the season. I like both teams, though. I warned about Izzo early in the tournament, if people don't remember. I talked about Michigan State and watched them, and now they're here in the Final Four. But I think their run is over, so I'm going to go with Coach K and the Duke Blue Devils to meet the Mighty Blue Machine, Kentucky, on Monday night.
I'm going to go with Duke also, Perry, and I'm going to go with Duke to win it all. And briefly, just to say, with the tumultuous events that are going on at the campus, excellent observations. I think that this group will galvanize themselves together and be vigilant going through that adversity and unite and show who they are as young black men and overcome those obstacles to show that, look, we are better than this and we're going to win this. And I'm picking Duke to win it all.
Wow.
I
Picking
think
Duke to
Coach
win
K
it
is
all.
going to give them
I'm going
very
Oklahoma.
similar pregame speech.
I said that.
You going with Oklahoma?
I said that.
I think it's going to be a great. I'll tell you what. If you're a basketball fan, it's going to be fun to watch. Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate backdrop, but it's still. It's going to be good television and good theater. I just wish it were under slightly different circumstances.
Yeah, and the spread is today. The spread is, of course, Kentucky by 4.5 and Duke.
Well, hold on. We got the fixture on the line.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Okay,
So,
wait a minute.
hey, we all know what time it is as we have, back by popular demand, from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of the Lou, it is the Fixer. And the computer is stuck today, so I don't know if our bump music's going to come in cleanly. Let's just go ahead and...
We're going down, baby.
There we go.
I'm going down, baby. No street in the rain. Come on, baby.
The Fixer.
What up, G?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing this fine morning?
Fantastic.
How you doing, Fixer?
Doing well, man. Waiting to hear what you got to tell us, man. Who's going to win this thing? Whose locker room have you been in? Really, that's what we really want to know.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't make it to the Utah game, but if you're telling me that we don't have power out here in Vegas, we can pull you out the locker room, you're going to shoot these free throws, my friend. Meant nothing to nobody else in the country. It didn't mean nothing to the game, but it meant something in Las Vegas.
Oh.
5 is a lot.
Hey, hold on. I think, say that again. Why was he made to shoot those free throws?
0.5. The spread was 5.5. The score, am I correct? I think Duke was up by. Duke was up by 7. Or no, they were up by 6. They were up by 6. Okay, remember he missed the first free throw. Right. But he made the second one, which made Duke win by 7. So the spread was 5.5. So when he hit the free throws, all the people that had their money on Utah, with the points, lost.
And Vegas won.
Of course.
That was, and what the fix is referring to at the very, very, very end of that game. It got a little heated and contested. It was a physical, hard-fought game, and there was a foul. I think his time expired, or with like less than a second left, and
it was like 2 seconds left, 0.2 seconds or 2 seconds left, and they said the foul was committed before the end of the game.
And the players were already walking off.
To the locker room.
Yep, they had guys leaving, and they brought the young man back for Duke. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but to come back and hit the free throws.
Right, it meant nothing to the outcome of the game for everybody else, but in Las Vegas, it meant 25.
That's the reach of the fixer, folks.
So real quick, man, go ahead and share with us what's going to happen tonight and Monday.
Well, I'm gonna say this: they got Kentucky favored tonight by 4.5, as you already heard. But yeah, they got Kentucky minus 4.5, and then they have Duke minus 5.5. Now, y'all missed two things today, and you forgot I live in Las Vegas, and if you told one of the greatest teams in the history of mankind wasn't UNLV, then they would really have a problem with that.
Oh, I mentioned them.
We mentioned UNLV. We mentioned UNLV.
Oh, y'all mentioned UNLV? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Then you're looking at for Michigan State. Y'all forgot the other guy that's sitting on the sidelines over there, and that's Magic Johnson. And Magic has been pushing these guys to play better. Tom Izzo is a good coach, but it's nice to have a man with all them rings sitting back there pushing those guys. So I think I got Michigan State in that game.
Oh,
Wow.
That's my homie.
Wow.
I'm gonna go with Magic. I think Magic can help him get over the top. I think he's back there pushing those guys to do more than they ever thought they could do in life.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm with you.
Wow.
All right, man. Well, look, any updates on the fight?
Yeah, believe it or not, the big money is starting to roll in. That means the six-figure bet.
oh yeah.
The six-figure bets move money.
Gangster.
And who they betting with? Pacquiao or Mayweather?
Well, Mayweather started off. You had to bet $275. Now the big money is rolling in. Now you got to bet $180. That means the big money is on that year.
Wow.
How about that?
So the big money's going on Pacquiao now.
Yeah, the big money players are putting their money on Pacquiao.
But doesn't that move the odds a little bit once they start seeing money coming in for the other person?
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
Right.
75 to minus 180.
So now that's almost
100.
right.
Almost 100-point swing.
Could be
That's
like
almost a pick 'em, almost.
No. Pick'em would be
50-50, right?
100.
Right.
now,
Right. You still got to bet $180 to win 100.
Right.
now this.
So you would reverse that for Pacquiao. So you would bet 100 and you would have been 180.
Now this isn't any Harlem Nights mumbo jumbo, where maybe Floyd's got his people, pushing that line, putting some money on Pacquiao so he can steal, so he can make the steal.
Well, see, that's good. So, we could be sending people out there with his money, to move the line.
Right. Hey, G, look, man, we got a very important segment that we've got to get to, man. It's not very often that we've had a chance for the professor to be in studio. It's a special weekend, and I just can't wait to hear what he's got to say. Are you going to hang around with us?
I can hang around a little while, yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Hey, man, let's move into let's get ready for the professor.
Coach, since we're talking about Vegas, do we want to touch I Told You So? It's pretty short this week, but at least want to work it in since it's the Final Four, and then move to the professor, perhaps?
Let's get it in right after the professor.
Okay, all right. Well, let's, do we have him queued up? Yeah. Okay, well, as we know, as usual, we have Professor T. Johnson. Hadn't had him in a couple of weeks, but hey, let's get him queued up and ready to rock as we have Professor Johnson's history class. Are we ready to, Joker, we got that ready to roll? Class is in session.
Peace, family. Once again, I am so enamored to be back in the presence of brothers and fellows. Wanting to keep my theme contextually proper since we're talking about basketball, I want to piggyback off a scenario that happened this week. We had the traditional McKinley alumni game, the 19th annual McKinley Senior High School alumni game, and we honored Coach Titus, who was a member of the 1971 undefeated state championship team. I had an opportunity to speak with him. The historian in me was thirsting to speak to him, and he shared their story with me. During this era of segregation, or desegregation rather, in 1971, McKinley Senior High School went 24-0, which Titus stated to me. Out of the 24 games, they scored 100 points 15 times.
Wow.
Coach Titus elucidated the fact to me that they beat Broadmoor 109-28. This is unfathomable. On this same team, we had Darrell Glasper, Jerry Jingles, Titus, Andre Turner, and a whole slew of other individuals. And that following year, they had Pop Green and Tommy Green. Now, Coach also jokingly shared that earlier that year, that Broadmoor beat up on McKinley something like 68-0 in football. They just had their way with us. So the illustrious Coach Carl Stewart, who ultimately ended up coaching at Southern, Coach Titus said Coach Stewart didn't know what it meant to call the dogs off. He took a personal vendetta on showing that just because there was racial disparities in this time of desegregated, black neighborhood schools, white schools, if you will, embrace that terminology. Coach Titus said that Coach Stewart personally wanted to show that we were athletic, that we were smart, that we could think, that we weren't just thugs and hoodlums and individuals that could dance and entertain.
Right on.
So with that being said, I was just enamored and honored to be in the presence of the game. Excellent turnout. But that's the historical moment. When he shared that with me, I was just in awe. The McKinley Senior High School 1971 undefeated team scored 100 points 15 times in an era when there was no three-point line.
Wow.
Coach Titus said that Broadmoor couldn't even get the ball across half court. Every time they was taking the ball up, the blue machine was laying the ball up. And finally, he said that same year is when the moniker, in closing, the Blue Machine was bestowed upon McKinley. Because the papers, the State Times and the Morning Advocate, ultimately did an article on the Honorable Coach Carl Stewart and said that year that when McKinley went undefeated and scored 100 points 15 times, the newspaper said that Coach Stewart runs a well-oiled machine at the school, a blue machine, if you will.
Right.
So the moniker stuck, and we added the big bad to it. But the newspaper bestowed that on us. So Coach Titus said 1971 was the year of the advent of our noble nickname, the Big Bad Blue Machine.
Wow.
So in closing, always investigate the information that you receive. If it is indeed the truth, verily it shall stand the test of investigation. Peace, brothers. I miss you.
Class dismissed.
Hey, coming up right after this show, man, we got Noel Jackson with music.
Satisfaction here on 96.9 FM, WHYR-LP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. So, 100 and, what was that score again, Professor? 109
to 30 something. I was so excited just to hear those facts, man, and just to be in the presence of, and I never knew that. I mean, I saw the pictures, you see the banners, but he said 1971 was the year. The newspapers gave us that nickname that said Coach Stewart has a machine down there. They can't be beat. These people are just they're running everybody out of the gym. They're scoring 100 points. They're a machine. They're a blue machine.
And that's exactly what it is. You score 15 100 points 15 times out of 24 games.
Right.
Wow.
And speaking of a machine, the machines that are our brains cannot be touched. As you got to come here if you want the real knowledge between the fixer and coach and Joker, myself and the professor. As if you don't listen to us, we're going to tell you, I told you so.
I told you so.
I said we're going to tell you.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
Wow, that's great. Well, Randy, while we got you on, man, you know we got the Elite Eight coming up. We got a couple of games today, and I wanted to get your picks on the couple of games that we do have today. The first one we're going to have actually going to be Kentucky against Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a good game. So who you got in that game?
Notre Dame is playing a little bit over their head right now. It's really too close to college. Gerard Grant gets some penetration. I think Notre Dame got a chance.
Right. I do too. I do too. I think they have a chance.
No.
The second game we got is going to be Wisconsin. I think it's going to be a real good game. It's going to be Wisconsin against Arizona. Who you like in that one?
Whichever team I think has the least turnovers win that game.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yeah.
You go over to Arizona?
Arizona might be a little bit more athletic.
Hey, Coach, who you liked in the first game? Kentucky or Notre Dame?
Oh, man, I find it tough to choose against Kentucky anymore.
Tomorrow we're going to have another great game. Two similar type teams. It's going to be Duke against Gonzaga.
I think this could be more a few years, but you just can't go against Michael Jackson and what he's done over the years. He really gets those guys up ready to play.
Right. Duke. Who you got, Coach?
Duke.
Duke. Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb on this one and go with Gonzaga on this one. And the other game is going to be Louisville against Michigan State. So you got Patino against Izzo. And Izzo, man, always seems to find a way to get to that Elite Eight or Final Four. And he's done it again with a Michigan State team that no one expected to get as far as they did. So who you like in this game? Patino or Izzo? Louisville or Michigan State?
Patino is too, but I got to go with Izzo on this one. This is the one I think I'm going to choose. I think Izzo going to go.
And I have to go with Izzo as well.
I'm going to go with Louisville on this one. I'm going to go with Patino.
Yeah, Coach, I got to say, I did not see, I was just telling Joker a second ago, I did not see that coming with Tom Izzo with Michigan State beating. Of course, you know, if Louisville could just put the ball in the hole, ever, in the later minutes of the game or in overtime, maybe it'd be different. But Tom Izzo outfoxed him. I mean, outcoached him, outfoxed him, out-physicaled him, and big props. You called that one, though, Coach.
You know what, actually... Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
That doesn't take anything away from Patino, man. To get that team to the Elite Eight was a feat in itself. He really wasn't talented enough to be at that level.
Not on the offensive end, I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what, I was sitting back and joking, I was saying, what I was going on. I had taken Gonzaga as well, but ultimately I had Villanova in the championship game on my bracket. And I'm very upset about that. I actually had Villanova in this thing. I just don't know. They had a meltdown, Coach.
Jay Wright is good for, I mean, I like Jay Wright, but he's good for it every year with finding a way to discipline. I actually had them out in the second round, and that's what happened.
Wow.
30 seconds left, guys. Let's whip it real quick around the horn. Joker.
Shouts out to all the listeners out there, to my homeboy T. Johnson, all the fellas, Eric Hatfield, Perry Daniel. See y'all next week.
Professor?
Peace, family, and shout out to McKinley Senior High School alumni game. 24-0 team, which is a stark contrast to that 86 football team, which went 11-0. I would 0-11. I would be remiss if I didn't say that.
Perry?
Fixer.
Hey, I'd like to say hello to my Winfield family. That would be my daughter, my son-in-law, and all my grandkids out there at Baton Rouge.
ABT, JNS, love you.
Have a good afternoon.
Hail to the king and lots of love. May he protect us from the evil